Hello, and welcome to the Deep End Gaming Podcast, a podcast where we take a look at the deeper end of the board gaming hobby. Today, I'm joined by my fellow host, Clay Ross, owner of Capstone Games, and a man most likely to win every season of The Bachelorette ever. Also joining us is Ryan Metzler, heavy game aficionado for the Dice Tower, and a man who just can't seem to let cargo shorts die. I'm Joe Wiggins, and if you care to know who I am or what I do, if you were to think of the Deep End Podcast as a complex maze-like structure inhabited by Jim Henson leftovers and a crotch-thrusting British pop star, I would be Ludo. We are a podcast about heavy games and heavy gamer, we are a podcast about heavy games for heavy gamers and definitively answering the question, what show should people be watching on TV right now? Clay, how you doing, man?
This exact moment.
Turn this off. If you are watching live, just turn it the F off, all right? No. Is there a TV show that you would recommend that you're possibly watching right now that you would recommend for people to be watching as well?
No, I haven't really been watching any TV shows. We tried watching Ozark on Netflix, and it was really dark, man. I mean, I like dark stuff, but Jason Bateman, I really like that guy too. But the plot just seemed a little bit over the top on that first episode. I don't know if you guys have seen that.
I love like that mafia stuff, like that like twisted web of like the whole cartel stuff. And so like I was an instant sell on that. I watched the first season in like a day. I was just doing work and watching it off to the side. So
I couldn't get into it, man. It reminded me of Breaking Bad, where it just didn't.
It does not let up either. If you like Breaking Bad, I would say that you might really enjoy this. But yeah, it's dark. I will give that to you. But
I was a big Breaking Bad fan, so maybe I should take a look.
If you, I would say if you were interested in like any kind of cartel style shows, I would give that a shot. Well, Clay, you're a big fan of Narcos. Have you watched the third season yet?
Narcos was okay for me. I just kind of drifted off. I couldn't fall in love with the characters, man. The two FBI guys or whatever they were, I couldn't fall. And then Pablo Escobar's character, I don't know. It just didn't. It seemed like you could tell they were acting, kind of thing. I just didn't fall in love with them. So
okay,
I thought it was really good. You're crazy.
So,
yeah,
I haven't watched the third season yet. So all
right,
I haven't
finished the second season. But
tell people what they should be watching.
What should they be watching? I don't know. So tomorrow, I haven't started it yet, but I'm really excited for it. So we're just going to go with that. Netflix has a new show coming out that I want to watch.
You stole mine. You totally stole mine.
Did I? Mindhunters, right?
Yes. I'm so excited. I'm going to be binging that tomorrow.
Yeah, Mindhunters. So it's all about 1970s, late 70s detectives that are essentially utilizing serial killers to try and learn enough to catch other serial killers or other murderers. And so it's a lot of getting in the mind of murderers and serial killers. Obviously, it's all fictional, but I'm really interested in seeing it.
It's supposed to be based off of some real life stuff, though, too.
I'm sure it is.
But
and being from like the serial killer capital of the United States, Wisconsin has a lot of crazies.
Yeah. Well, then I'm going to have to switch mine up, and I'm super excited about Mindhunters. That was going to be my pick, but in a couple of weeks, we're getting Stranger Things season 2, baby, and
another very good choice.
That's going to be over. I mean, most people are going to have that watched in like a day or two, like the entire weekend. They're not going to do anything. They're just going to be watching that. But yep, there's some good stuff to be watching. I'm not like a huge TV person. I'm much more of a movie person, but every once in a while, I don't mind binging a show. And I like Netflix series because they're easily digestible, most of them. Like you can just watch them in like 2 days and knock them out.
I got one for you guys. Room 104 on HBO. Have you guys seen that yet?
No.
It's like the Twilight Zone. It's just every episode's like 20 minutes long, and it's a completely different story. But it's about a hotel room, 104, and just the most random stuff happens in that. It's really good.
The Scary Door.
Another one. Lore. Lore has its. Have you guys heard about that? Mm-hmm. Lore is a podcast all about like not grim fairy tales. What are those things called? But like scary stories. Like scary story type stuff.
That's cool.
And Lore is like a 6-part mini series that like I don't know, it's on Amazon or something like that. But I'm excited to check that out as well. But I have to watch that when my wife isn't here because she does not like scary stuff. All right. Well, let's go ahead and stop talking about television because like people that are like listening to this podcast for possibly the first time are like turning it off right now because they're like, I thought you guys were talking about games.
Nobody wants new listeners. Come on now.
It's true. Our numbers have been spiking though a little bit, but I just think that there's just more people going back and listening. Like somebody sent me a message this week and they said, my favorite thing about your podcast is that I can literally listen to it and just listen to the entire backlog of episodes and they're all as enjoyable. And I thought that was like pretty like a good thing to say. Like our because we don't talk about like a game, our podcast doesn't seem as dated, I feel. And so that's nice. Like we just talk about whatever games we're happening to care about. But anyways, let's go ahead and talk about some games for those people that care about that kind of thing, which why would they be listening to this show? But Ryan, go ahead and start us off and tell us about a game that you've been playing.
Yeah, so there was a lot of talk about this game. I think the last time we did a podcast, and I'm sure it'll probably come up again, at least somewhat during this podcast. I had a chance to get Terra Mystica to the table for the first time in a long time. I played 2 games of it, and I know the first game I played, the Darklings, which I think, Clay, you like? Is that correct?
Darkling.
Okay.
Yeah, those guys are
Darklings are the ones where you can't spend any blocks, any of the cubes, whatever they're called, to do your changing of the lands. You have to use priests. And so I played that. I had a really good game, managed to pull that one out and win. And then in the second one, we played whatever green is. One side of green, and Andrea played yellow. Just a 2-player game. Not as good 2-player, which I think is obvious, but really just a great game. And that game is I feel like it's all really about when to burn your power out of the bowls in order to be most effective, to like burn it out of the game in order to be most effective. Yeah. So great game.
I got to tell you, man, if you like Terra Mystica, I'm telling you, just get your expectations in line. But Gaia Project, so good. All right,
somebody told me it was bad. I don't remember who it was. I don't remember.
I would highly recommend it. But anyways, we'll talk more about that probably next episode. Okay. But anyways, so yeah, Terra Mystica, always a classic, always good to break out. I have actually, I'm going to talk about 2 games real quick because I'm not going to take a super long time in either one of them. And somehow they always get brought up together. But there was a company called Mo Ideas, I think is how you would pronounce their company name. And they had 2 games at Gen Con. And a lot of people were picking them up in tandem. And that was Mini Rails and Tulip Bubble. Okay, both kind of small-ish box, very quick playing games. Okay, so I'm going to hit Mini Rails real quick. So Mini Rails is basically like a very simplistic, Winsome-esque style train kind of game where you kind of have like a random assortment of hexes with different train tiles that you're trying to like move around and like build, little paths on the board to earn points based on, negative or positive points depending on which way you go. And depending on which track you go, you're going to move your shares up and down according to where you place the thing. But every round, you simply take a stock action, which means you're going to take a color and you're going to take a stock of that color and put it on your stock chart. And then you're going to move a color, okay? But the real, I think, beauty in this game is that you randomly draw what colors are available onto this track, and you have 2 markers. And as you move down to, let's say I take this action, then, Ryan goes, Clay goes, and then I take this action, where my pegs end up, like my markers end up, is where the turn order I get to act in next. And so sometimes it's worth taking a suboptimal action or not the best action because I'm going to get both of my moves back to back, or I'm going to go very last because the very last act or the very last disc, there's one disc more than the number of actions or two more. You get to choose which one goes down into the into score, because the shares only score positively if they actually are left over at the end of a round. It's a very interesting game. A lot of people have been praising the heck out of this game. In fact, I've heard some people say it's the best Winsome-esque game, and it's not a Winsome game, okay? But people are like, of all the games that feel like this, out of all the Winsome I've played, I would rather play this. I don't agree with that. And my thoughts are this. It's really cool. It plays in like 15 minutes, like 20 minutes tops. It really has a lot of cool stuff to think about. But in the end, your optimal moves are sometimes just very obvious. And also, most of what you're going to do is you're going to just screw over the other players as much as you can. And so in the couple of games that I've been able to play of this, it's really like, oh, well, this is going to hurt you really bad. Oh, well, this is going to screw you over really bad. And you're just taking those obvious moves because there's not that broad of a decision-making space in it. So at the end, I think it's cool. I think it's a great filler, but I don't think it's the end-all be-all of all of those games. But now I really want to focus in on Tulip Bubble. Tulip Bubble, Clay, you've played this with me, okay? So The first time I've played Tulip Bubble, I honestly was like, this might be one of my favorite filler style games of all time. The market aspect is super fascinating. It's really good. The way you're trying to like manage how you can buy things, and you can take like tulips on loan, and there's all of these really fascinating stuff that you can do with your money and manipulate the market and fill orders and stuff like that. Like there's so many cool things going on. The way that you can look at things and plan it out. But then every round you draw and flip a market card, which tells you what's going to go up, if there's going to be a bust, if there's going to be, a crash or whatever, which is good. But somewhere in the last three cards is basically going to be an endgame card. And when that endgame card pops up, every tulip that you own is worthless.
Because it's the bubble, the tulip bubble burst.
Yes. So thematically, fine. But what this does is it means you get to make the decision, do I play or not play the last three rounds of the game? Do I just keep the money I have and hope that the tulip bursts while you're buying shit, and then I'm going to be able to like win or whatever? It just doesn't. It's frustrating because it takes this very strategic market game, and at the end of it turns it into a push your luck game, and I don't like it. I do not like the way that game ends.
Have you played this?
No, I actually looked at both of these games at, I don't know, Gen Con, I guess it must have been.
Yeah.
And decided not to buy either of them. Because I looked at him and was like, I listened to a full overview. Like I sat down and I listened to him give me the whole spiel, and Andrea and I both looked at him and went, no. And passed.
So my biggest problem with Tulip Bubble is, and I don't hear anybody really talking about this, is when you're going to auction off basically every tulip in the game. And if there's like four people going to this one tulip, they're going to be bidding on it. You can put your little marker in there and join that auction. Guess what happens if you're going to bid up the auction and you happen to pass, and the actual value of the tulip is $10 and it's now being sold for $20. You're going to split that difference, the 20 minus $10, amongst all the players. So just by joining an auction, and you have no intention or no money at all to even make an impact on that auction, you're going to get paid out, which is like, I don't know. It just didn't sit well with me. It's like, because Joe was doing that a lot. He would just jump in there and like, oh, guess what? I'm getting all this money. I'm not even doing anything. But I like the market mechanic, like you were saying, Joe. I really do. It's a beautiful implementation of that.
I think there's a lot of good in the game, but the end game kills it. And I think maybe a couple of tweaks, like a couple of variant things might really be able to fix it for me. But as of right now, it's a hard pass for me because that end game just takes
It
it
doesn't
off.
sit well with you, man.
It does. Oh my god, I got so pissed when it happened too, because I'm just sitting there like, okay, so everything I have is worthless, and they're like, yep, and I'm like, okay, so tell
Have
me,
fun.
so you can win by just not playing, and they're like, yeah, and I'm like, so the game punishes you for trying to play the game, so you're better off just not playing. So what's the point? It just I couldn't do it, because you have no. It's like a 1 in 33.3 chance, and then it's a 1 in 50 chance. And so if somebody's pushing their luck and it goes all the way to the end, congratulations, you won, but off of like pretty much luck.
Mm-hmm.
I just nope. Did not enjoy that end game. But that's me. I know a lot of people are talking good about it. That's my personal opinion. I loved a lot of stuff in the game. Did not like the end game. Could not stomach it. I don't like a game where I think that much, and at the end it comes down to that much randomness. So,
Yeah.
All right. But that's me. Clay, you go ahead and
Guys,
bring us up.
I got some news for you.
Do it.
I played a VTOL game after playing CO2. So I'm not a big VTOL fan, but
Which one?
I played the Gallerist, buddy, back in
Nice.
2015. Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
I really liked it. At the end of the day, I had a blast playing it. So there's two games I played, and the second one I'll talk about after this. I thought I was going to like that second game a lot more, even during playing it. But that night I was thinking about both games we played, and the Gallerist is just so much better. And the thing is, like, as we're going over the rules, I was kind of like, man, I don't think I'm really going to like this game that much. And then as we're playing it, just really didn't settle well with me. But as you're kind of figuring out the system and everything, especially towards the end game, it started clicking really well, and it was just a beautifully designed game. That game is deserving of its what is it, like number 70 overall on Board Game Geek now, and
Yeah, it's high.
it's totally worth that. I mean, I really like the way the end game scoring flows in that. It's just a beautiful design.
Odd
And,
coincidence, Clay. A copy of that showed up at my house today for review. So
The Gallerist did?
yeah.
Oh, nice. I enjoyed it a lot. And that's the cool thing with a VTOL game is it's, even though it's a learning game, I mean, it's still enjoyable. I had a good time. It was a lot of fun.
I like the Gallerist. I don't know why people that like Beetle games give it such a harsh like review. I think it's great. I think it's a wonderful game. I think it's a good entry point into Vita Lacerda too.
Yeah, I enjoyed. I want to check out Vinos next is on my list, and then Lisboa. I would definitely maybe even Kanban too, but I don't know.
They're all
Vinos
good.
for sure. Yeah.
Those are three very different games, but yeah.
Yeah, that's a good thing then. I'm liking that.
I will say Vito's game they're all very different, but I think all of Vito games have a similar feel to them, as in they're very high rules complexity overhead, but they're very like driven like procedural games, like do this, follow this set of things, but like the complexity of the rules is like super high. Whereas like something go ahead.
Vinos is much more harsh than the other two games is towards you.
Like, towards you? Then I got
don't make a mistake, because you don't have many actions in Vinos.
I like that. I just want to say my wife, she doesn't really play heavy games, and we sold her on the theme of you get to run your own art gallery, and you're going to hire painters and do all this stuff, and that's a really cool theme, and so that sucked her in, and she was there was a 4-player game. The guy that taught it played it 7 or 8 times. The rest of us were all new, and she came in a solid second, and it was awesome to see that. So
my wife, her favorite games are Vita Lacerda games. She loves them. Let me ask you a question about it though. How did you feel about the kick out actions? Because that's most people's big disagreement with is it can slog.
Yeah, here's the thing. It does, because it's your first play of the game. As you play your second game and your third time, that's going to go away. That's not even a valid argument, in my opinion.
I've played it like 5 times, and still I feel like the kick out actions can be very like the kick, because like it's like, okay, I take an action, and then this person needs to take a kick out action.
I get that, but the thing is, most people we play with, it's like just be nice and get planned for doing the takeout action while they're doing their main action. Decide if you really want to do that or not, and then that's kind of how we played. And towards the end of the game, it started picking up pace, and I figured the next few plays it would happen. But
yeah, it does pick up, but it is still sometimes like a thing.
A slog.
Yeah. All right. So great, awesome. That sounds like I think it was a huge win for you.
Oh, it was definitely one of the highlights of this list for sure.
Now,
Clay finally playing some real games.
So,
damn it,
Ryan is go ahead and kick us off. I'm excited to hear about your take on this one because I haven't played it.
How do you know what order I'm going in? I don't even know what order I'm going in.
You just randomly do it. Well, one of the games you listed is one I'm interested in.
Oh, okay. Well, I know which one it is, so I'm going to do the one that's not that one. I'm going to do Millennium Blades because I know you've played it.
Yeah.
So I, on a whim, was at a local game store, and he's always been really nice to me, through the years, and he's like given me stuff, and he donated to a charity that I'm working with. And so while I was there, I'm like, well, I've got to buy something, right? And so on the shelf, my wife picks up Millennium Blades, and she's like, look, we should get this. And I was like, done. So we take it home, and I didn't really know what to expect. And so then I spent, I don't know, half an hour banding money together, which really pissed me off.
It's cool though, isn't it?
It is cool.
It's
super cool. But the first half an hour is just like, you know what? Fuck this game. Like, I don't want to play this anymore. And then I got all the money banded together, and we sat down and we played it 2-player. And now 2-player is not the recommended mode for this game, but it has a way to play it. And as I'm reading the rules, I'm like, man, 7 minutes for deck building, like to do all of your buying of cards and opening things, and you're only building like a 8-card deck, right? It really just seems like too much time. Seems like it's going to be way too much time. And then I'm like, whoa, it's not just 7 minutes. It's 7 minutes, then another 7 minutes, then another 6 minutes. So you've got 20 minutes of building an 8-card deck. However, on top of that, you're also putting together sets and trying to figure out what cards are going to interact in what way and stack them in an order where you think it's going to be good for you to play them later. And there's a bunch of metagame things going on, too, where you can get extra points. And so that 20 minutes goes a whole heck of a lot faster than you think it will. I mean, like, you're like, okay, 20 minutes is now done, and I'm not sure what I have works at all. And, of course, the first time I'm playing it, like, I have no idea, right? So I'm using all these flip cards, and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to use this card to flip that card. And then I realize I have nothing to start the trigger of flipping. So by the time I'm actually going and playing my deck, I'm like, well, none of this actually works. So I just got smoked. However, the game is awesome. The game is really, really good. And so we've only played with the base set so far, or like the recommended starting set of however many cards it is. But there's so many cards. I mean, there are so many cards. And there's good like inside jokes on the cards. There's good interaction between them in different ways that you can kind of trigger them off of one another. And it really comes down to like you're only including 8 to 10 cards in this deck. But how can you optimize those 8 to 10 cards out of probably the, I don't know, what would you say? You get 30 to 40 cards overall, maybe, if you're really cycling through them, Joe, buying things, opening packs.
That
could be more or less.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a really, it really does. And I think it's the best way to do a timed game, yeah? Because it's like, it's not like Galaxy Trucker where it's like, oh, flip in a timer and got to go fast. No. It's like, you got 7 minutes. And in that 7 minutes, do what you need to do. And it's enough time to do it, but it gives you, but it's short enough that it's like at the end of it.
You don't feel like you did it right. Yeah, that's the thing. You don't feel like you did it right when you're done. You're like, damn it, there's definitely something I missed here.
I've never played the game where everyone's just kind of sitting around like, okay. So we got like 3 minutes left. You guys want to just like call it or whatever? And so, I mean, maybe one person that happens to, but
sure.
No,
I'm sitting there like buying packs and like, oh God, like none of these packs are going to have the card packs.
Just ripping boosters open, man.
Yeah. And I'm like, I know this one's not going to have what I need, but I'm going to buy it anyway so that I can sell it so that I can get a new card into it. And then,
I've done that before where I'm like, screw it. I'm buying 15 booster packs because I need that one freaking card for the one freaking value to finish my binder.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's the reality of the game. Clay, I know you haven't played.
I know, man. You got me jumping to play it.
Let me tell you, it's an expensive game for for what's in the box. It's a bunch of cards, right? But I'd say it's gonna be worth it. Yeah, I mean it's not yet because I haven't played it enough, but it's gonna be worth it.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you.
Not the heaviest of games, but it's good. So
yeah, it's got a unique level of heaviness. I think, like a unique level. Like it's not like a heavy game, but it has some thinking to it and some understanding that goes into it. But
yeah.
All right, so I'm going to talk about my next one, and this is going to be a bit of an off-the-wall one for me. I'm going to talk about Through the Ages, but not just Through the Ages. I'm going to talk about the new app that has come out. So Through the Ages is a fantastic game. We've spoken about Through the Ages a few times on this podcast. Some people have thought that we hate it, and I don't think that that's true. But we've talked about Through the Ages, and they just came out with an app. So one of the biggest, I guess, detractors of Through the Ages is the fact that it's a 3-hour game with 3 players. Like that's kind of like minimum. I guess if you know the game really, really well, you can knock it out in like 2.5. But it's a long game for a small number of players. And you can play this app in like 20 minutes. Like seriously, like at 20 minutes, like a 3-player app. And the thing that's really good is the AIs are so good. Like when I downloaded the app, it'd been a while since I played Through the Ages, and the easy AI smoked me. I played a few more times, and I got to where like I was consistently beating the easy AI. I went and switched to doing a challenge I had to win against 2 medium AIs. I had to play that challenge like 20 times before I won. It was really tough because the AIs are really good in this. And there's one where now I have to play 3 hard AIs, and I just got my I played like the first 6 turns, and I was like, well, I lost this game, so I just exited out of it. I was like, there's no coming back from that. I was like, holy cow. But I've been playing with people online and stuff like that, and doing some async games with some friends, and doing some of the challenge modes and stuff like that. And man, this is a great app. It is really, really well done. Everything is kind of at your fingertips. For a small phone screen and for as robust of a game as it is, it does a really good job kind of implementing that. You're able to switch over and see what other people have and know where you're at, the military strength that's going on. It has a really high overview. It's fantastic. I mean, it's so much better than actually playing the physical board game, because you can just click on the deck, because you play with every card in Through the Ages. So you can click on the deck of what age you're in and see every single card that has come out are blurred out, and the ones that are still in the deck are open. So you can look through, oh, that card's coming out, or click to the third age and be like, okay, that's what that one card does. I should really make a plan for when that comes out. I buy it really fast. And it's really fantastic. And I've got to say, gonna make amends. So shout out to Edward Euler right now. Yeah, I played Nations a couple of months ago, and I was like, you know what? I think I like Nations a little bit better than Through the Ages. But I hadn't played Through the Ages a ton. I played 6-7 times. And now with the app, I've played it 25 times in a couple of days. And they're legit plays. I mean, they're really playing against people, even if it's on a digital platform. But honestly, Through the Ages is the better game out of the two.
No!
It is a much deeper, more robust game. I mean, Nations is fun, but the amount of randomness and the kind of freebie stuff that's involved in that, Through the Ages is a much deeper, much heavier, much more intriguing game to play, I think. And the app really kind of sold that to me. And so I'm really going to swing that way. And I still think Nations is great. But Through the Ages, I'm going to give the edge to that now. I really think it. And if you're somebody, here's the thing. I've downloaded 10 board game apps over the last couple of years. I've never played any of them. I downloaded Le Havre. I spent $6 on Le Havre. I've never even played it. Never even opened the app after I bought it. I've played Through the Ages 25 times. So if you're somebody that's skeptical about the apps, I highly recommend getting this one, because it's you can knock out a really awesome 4-hour game in 30 minutes. And so definitely give it a shot. It's $10, so it's a little pricey for an app, but it's worth it. Especially, I mean, I've played it 25 times. I've got my money out of it already anyway, but I think it's great. I think it might be the best thing that happens in heavy gaming this year. Despite whatever games come out, that app really is amazing. So
Cool.
that's my review of the Through the Ages app. Do either of you guys have it?
Nope.
No, but now I want to get it because
I was going to get it. I'm cheap.
$10, dude. You just bought Millennium Blades. Come on now.
Wife approved.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, you could do pass and play with the wife.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good point. She does play,
right.
so I mean,
I'm gonna go back in time again with my next
one.
I'm like catching up with all you guys on this stuff.
Clay's back in 2012.
Yeah, guys, have you guys heard of Alexander Pfister? He had this game come out called Mombasa.
Has anybody played Kalis?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but that's kind of the beauty of the show, though. Is it's not like, oh, the new hotness all the time. It's like, hey, we played this game and it was good.
Yeah. So we played Mombasa after the Gallerist, and my brain was pretty fried after the Gallerist, and
pretty squishy.
Yeah, Mombasa it's a solid. I mean, it's got a good weight to it, but it's
super easy.
It's pretty straightforward on what you're doing. It just takes a while to explain the whole system, movement, and everything like that. But I like games with the stock element in it, and the 4 stock markets each have their own unique abilities that they give you if you get to a certain point. Love that. And they're double. Yeah, they're double-sided.
The hardest part to explain about that thing.
Yeah, the book part that's actually what I was doing, a hard strategy in books and diversifying my portfolio. I came out on top pretty strong in that one. I don't know, just the card mechanic with the discarding and you can pick up one pile, that clicked for me, and I was planning a couple rounds in advance. I enjoyed it a lot. At the time, I thought it was a lot better than the Gallerist, but once I was done playing it and then woke up the next morning, I was kind of reminiscing, and I think Gallerist is definitely the better game, but still both enjoyable. Oh, really?
I disagree pretty hardly on that statement. I'd say Mombasa.
Maybe I need to try the Gallerist again, but I don't know. The Gallerist, I just can't stop thinking about it because I want to try it again. But Mombasa, I feel like I did a really good job. I got 146. I don't know if it's a good number or not, but I don't know if you guys are like, well, let me look at my board game app and.
Hold on, let me check my history of thousands of plays and see what my history of.
I track my plays. I don't track anything else. But I have a friend, Megan, does that. Megan's like, "What was your score? What was your score? What was your score?" And I don't even care.
I can't.
But win or lose.
I don't even do that. I don't even calculate when I win.
I think I like Mombasa better than Great Western Trail because of the stock. The companies have those abilities on both sides, and that area control and how you can really screw up the other companies and really hurt somebody else's portfolio. I like that a lot in a game, and
this I agree with you on.
That's what I want to. And this is all initial impressions. I don't want anybody to think this is like a review. I'm just.
How'd you do on the book track?
I got 30 points. I did pretty good. I was in the middle, halfway through it all.
Book track is a really wonky mechanic in that.
I got the book guys every time they were out there to buy. I bought them up, and then you could use them because a lot of those books have you need an extra bookkeeper gem guy, and I was able to pick a lot of those up and just slam them all down and run up the track.
Yeah,
it was awesome. And bananas, dude, got to go for bananas.
I haven't played Mombasa in a while. You're kind of making me want to dust it off again. Mombasa's a great game.
It is a great
bananas were the way to go. I had so much bananas and a lot of bookkeepers, and that was a good combo.
So many bananas, my friend.
Mombasa still.
Do you want to see my bananas?
Mombasa still. Well, now that you're offering, viewers, why don't you vote? If you would like to see, Clay's bananas out there,
oh my god,
online, go ahead and tweet at Clay and the Deep End Podcast with the hashtag
pull down the peel.
Pull down the peel.
Deep End comes and we want to go home. There we go.
Okay.
So
I like hashtag pull down the peel.
Yeah. We'll go with that one. Hashtag pull down the peel. There we go. Awesome. All right. So definitely, you know what? Mombasa is a great game because I still own Mombasa and I don't own Great Western Trail anymore. So if that says anything about how I felt about it, Mombasa's a good game.
Both are good. He's a fun designer, man. He's definitely different. That's great. I love it. So that's my thoughts.
Awesome. Ryan, you're up, man.
So we're back to me again. Okay, this time I'll talk about the one that you haven't played, which is weird because I hadn't played it either. And even more odd that it came out like a year ago, or maybe even a year and a half ago, which is Lorenzo Il Magnifico. Clay, have you played this?
No, I've heard things though. So
You've heard things.
I'm interested to hear what you're going to say.
You've heard things. Okay.
Yes.
So the main kind of differing mechanism in this game is that there are 3 dice that get rolled. It's a white die, an orange die, and another colored die. Who cares? And you roll them, and those dice have numbers on them. And those numbers correspond to a worker that each player has. So each player has a white worker, an orange worker, and I don't care what color it is worker, as well as a 4th worker that always has a value of 0. And then these workers are placed into towers. There are 4 different towers for green cards, yellow cards, blue cards, and purple cards, all of which are acquired by either taking them for free, which are the green cards, or spending various resources that you collect throughout the game in order to buy them in other places. The interesting part about it is, of course, everybody has the same value of workers. But if you are not the first place, and Jesus, how many copies of Wildcatters are on your shelves? If you're not the first person to play into a tower, you have to pay money in order to place there. And so there's a lot of different strategies you can take to collecting different types of cards, completely ignoring certain things. At some points, you have to have enough influence with the church to not get excommunicated, and there's some really nasty things that can happen to you if you do get excommunicated, like all of your dice for a certain thing are at -3, or you can no longer take any of the bonuses from some of the places you place on, or every resource you have at the end of the game is worth negative points, so don't have any resources at the end of the game. And you can completely ignore those if you play everything right. So all in all, I actually really enjoy it. I played it at a convention that I bought a copy, and I've played it again since. So only a couple plays in, but I like it. So I don't know what you guys have heard, but I enjoy it.
Same designers as Grand Austria Hotel. And when it came out, a lot of people said it's very similar to Grand Austria Hotel. And so I just completely bypassed it because I did not like Grand Austria Hotel.
Okay. I haven't played Grand Austria Hotel, so I have no idea.
I think it's weird that Simon picked it up. I like.
Do you really find that weird?
Heck yeah, I do. That's a Euro. What are they doing?
Well, okay.
It's a mixed image.
Here's my thought, though. Simon was Simon. You know, they were cool mini or not. When 3 years ago when I went to Gen Con, it was Arcadia Quest and everything was the big minis games and Zombicide and all this stuff. That's what they were doing, right? Chaos Ball was whatever. But what it looks like is they've kind of done a lot, and that's still their wheelhouse, but they're trying to pick up all these other games to turn their company I don't use the word legitimate in a thing, but because they were legitimate before, but they're trying to diversify their line so that they can be a big competitor. So they want the Euros, they want the party games, they want the filler games, and they're doing a good job with it.
They want it all, but I don't think they're doing a good job with it.
Grizzled is good. Grizzled. Yeah. They picked up Grizzled. They picked up Modern Art. They've got some good titles.
I've got to say, I really liked Lorenzo. And so, if you haven't played it, I don't know anything about Grand Austria, but I'd say Lorenzo's worth giving a shot to.
Cool. I'd try it. I think one of the designers did Zolkin.
No, that's a different. Isn't it? No, I think you're right.
Cassini.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, I think one of them is. But yeah, I would try it. I love Euros, I guess. So
I think Clay's just bitter because there's another company moving in on the Euro territory that he kind of cornered off for himself. He's like, I don't like cool me or not getting Euros.
No, I don't. It's just weird. It's like, hey, I'm gonna go make a game with a bunch of minis in it now. What's that gonna do for my brand? I don't know.
Well, I mean, when you get that big, you want to try to draw on everybody.
There's
They're
other ways
try-
to do
they're
that. But yeah, I
trying
know
to-
diversification is key. And
They're trying to
I get
be
that.
on the level of Asmodee, and you can't do that with only one style of thing.
You know how you get on the level
Sure.
of Asmodee? You know how that happens?
Buy everything. You just buy shit.
Asmodee buys you, and then you're on the level of Asmodee.
There you go.
Well, that okay. So let's role play for a second. Okay, we're just gonna take a little time out real quick before we go into the next one. So let's say Cool Mini or Not approaches you, Clay, and wants to buy Capstone Games and let you run the Euro division of Cool Mini or Not. What do you think about that?
There's
They're
a
like,
lot
we-
that I mean, that's a loaded question because I mean, it's the thing I have a problem with. It's Cool Mini or Not was their name, but now it's CMON. We're just going to use the acronym, and that's gonna mean everything, every type of game. Whereas I could have done the same thing with Capstone Games, but we did the Simply Complex thing thanks to your suggestion on that, and.
I teased Clay one time about that he in an interview he didn't mention that it was my idea, and so now like every time Clay brings it up, he's like thanks to Joe who came up with that idea.
Yes, I will do that forever now until I die. But yeah, I just think that it's I just think that it's a mixed message right now. But as they continue to do this, it's going to be like, okay, this is what CMON is. But at the front of the gate, it's just kind of like, it doesn't fit, in my opinion. But that's just me.
I mean, rebranding happens, right? And so you've got to rebrand. Clearly they want to take things in a little bit different direction than they had before, and so the rebrand for them is moving to an acronym that now means nothing rather than Cool Mini or Not.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been done in the past. KFC no longer stands for Kentucky Fried Chicken. They dropped Kentucky Fried Chicken as a name.
I think they had to because I thought it was a legal issue. But yeah, I get what you're saying. But
it's a rebranding. Yeah,
it's a rebranding. I think like McDonald's is even doing it with their new burgers that they've got, the really fancy looking ones. I don't know.
Where's my Szechuan sauce, man? Where's my Szechuan sauce?
Whatever. But like, yeah, I get what you're doing. You can't be a static entity in this dynamic market. You get run over. So
I actually had this thought a long time ago, and I guess I'll voice it. You know what I thought would have been cool is when I thought the exact same thought is mixed message, and they're kind of glomming everything together. And I was like, and I actually thought this. I was like, from a marketing perspective, what if it was CMON and it was like a big block, the CMON logo, and then for their Euros they did CMON still, but they made it a different logo, like a cursive scroll of CMON. So you could look at the box, see the logo, even though it's from the same company, same name, and know how to differentiate it. I'm curious. I don't know.
Do you think gamers really need the logo of the company to represent the type of game that is in the box?
No, but
I think it's credibility is what you're putting out there.
I think there are a lot of gamers that will like Lorenzo El Magnifico that don't want to play anything else that CMON has to offer, pretty much. But there are a lot of Cool Mini or Not people that don't really care about Lorenzo El Magnifico. Like, it's one of those things where CMON was one thing for so long, and now they're diversifying. I think there's a lot of validity to adding different lines and different, departments in your gaming.
I like that so long in the gaming industry is now like 2 years.
Yeah.
They were one thing for like 2 years and it was forever, and now they're different thing.
Fantasy Flight did the same thing a couple years ago with Tigris and Euphrates, Samurai, and Ra. They released it under their Wind Rider Studios or whatever it was called until it got purchased by Asmodee, and now it's just I think they're just putting it under their Euro Classics branding is what they're going to call those style of games now. So
they made none of those games better when they reprinted them, just for the record.
Yeah. There's different strategies out there, and you just gotta, I guess, put your best foot forward in whatever you think is going to be the best move.
Moving on. All right, so let's get into some more games talk. So I'm going to talk about a game because it wouldn't be a Deep End podcast if I didn't mention at least one 18xx game. And the 18xx game I want to talk about is one that I was excited to play for a really long time. I heard not necessarily negative things from the community, but I just didn't hear a lot about this game. Not a lot of people were talking about it. But I was very intrigued to try it. And that is 18 Dixie. So 18 Dixie is it's a pretty robust 18xx game. And I've got to say, I absolutely loved this game. Oh my goodness. I thought that this 18xx game was amazing. I thought it was so good. So this one basically takes place in Dixie in the South. So first thing is there are a lot of really cool private powers, which I mean, automatically is one of my favorite things in an 18xx game when there's like a bunch of really cool private powers. So that was one thing that had me hooked instantly. And they were very different than a lot of the other ones I'd seen. But I think one of the most fascinating concepts of 18 Dixie was the way that the minor companies work. So this one has minors that merge into minors that merge into majors. Say that 5 times fast. But in this one, your minor companies were kind of building routes. They ran with a little permanent train that came with the company. So you didn't like buy trains with them and stuff like that. But they, kind of helped build track and everything. But every minor was tied to 1 or 2 or 3 of the major companies. So depending on which one you started, it was going to merge into one of the other companies. So usually you wanted to start a major and grab some minors that worked well with the major that you started. And here's the really cool thing. When the minors all die at a very set time, so all of these minors, like 1 through this, die at this time, and then 6 through 10 die at this time, and then like 11 through 15 die at this time. And so there's all different turns when the minors are going to die. And when they die, they replace their tokens, give their treasuries to the major company, but then there's this big stack of preferred shares that are locked until all of the minors die. And these preferred shares, you get a share of that company, and you can use that to go over your normal 60% share limit if you do it through merging. And so they don't count against your share limit of it. And I thought that was a really neat concept. The map is really cool. There's a lot of very interesting things that you can do. The main criticism of this game is that until the permanent trains come out, you are only supposed to buy 1 minor or 1 train per company per operating round. So you can't buy like a bunch of trains. It's supposed to slow the train progression down a little bit. And a lot of the people, when I was like, oh, I love this game, we forgot to play with that rule. So we were buying as many trains as we wanted. And when I asked a lot of the people about that, a lot of the 18xx people I know online were like, oh, I played it, but I didn't like that train buying rule. Oh, I played it, I didn't like that train buying rule. So I sent a long email to the designer and said, hey, sent about on BGG, hey, I played 18 Dixie. I really loved it. I thought this was really fascinating. I was like, but a lot of the people that I reached out to said they did not like this rule. What is your opinion on it? And he said, I don't play with it. He's like, I put that in there because I put that in a lot of games, and it kind of slows it down, and it makes it a little bit easier for new people not to get like crazy in the train rush or whatever. He's like, but honestly, when I played 18 Dixie, my group, we don't play with that rule. He's like, just play without it. He's like, you might want to add an extra 4 train to kind of slow down the rust a little bit. But other than that, he's like, just take it off. It's basically like playing without training wheels. So I'm glad that we didn't play like a broken version, because that's the way the designer actually plays the game. So I would recommend, if you played 18 Dixie with that rule and found that a little annoying, just don't play with that rule. Just take it out and buy as many trains as you want. And so I really do feel that 18 Dixie is a fabulous game. I want to try it with that rule to see if I like it a lot less, because I'm all about, those hard train rushes and staying ahead of it and actually having to play your game rather than playing with training wheels. A couple people in my group were crying about it at the end because I stomped them. But hey, we played by the designer's rules, man. Played hardcore mode. But no, it was a really fantastic game. 18 Dixie's great. And the good thing is, if you buy 18 Dixie from All Aboard Game, or from Golden Spike Games is who you buy it from, it comes with 3 games in the box. 18 Tennessee, 18 Mississippi, I believe, and 18 Dixie. And 18 Tennessee and Mississippi are like very basic intro games. So you can get like a light intro game and a really big, like heavy 18xx game too. And so it's all 3 in one box, and it uses like the same components. Like you'll use the same shares and companies for 18 Mississippi, but it's a very simple map and very simple rules. So that might be something, if you're looking to buy an 18xx game, you might get the most bang for your buck out of getting that package. So
what about 1 through 17 Mississippi? 1 Mississippi, 2, never mind.
Wow, Ryan, that was a terrible joke. It was like the worst joke ever.
Had to be done.
My intros are terrible, but that was just bad. All right.
We're gonna have to fly through these Essen games, by the way. We're almost
let me bring this one home. Let me bring this home real quick. So I went up to Cleveland to hang out with Joe and some of his friends, Tony, Tim, Andrew. There's 2 Andrews there, and
Andrew and
a bunch of other people. Sorry. Yeah, it's like 9 Andrews. It's Andrew party. But we played Dominant Species to close out the night. 5-player game. That was a lot of fun. That was an epic game of just lots of different dialogue came out of that.
Just so you know, the 18xx Crybaby I was talking about when we played 18 Dixie, same guy.
Oh, I don't know.
We have a Crybaby in our group.
Oh, the guy. Oh, sorry, my hands were tied. It was the best possible move. That was like one of the best lines of the night, like picking on Tim. And yeah, it was just a good game. Tony, man, that guy with Tony was playing the arachnids. I was playing the reptiles, which I didn't do a very good job at. But Tony just kind of crept up throughout the map, like every round, just kind of propagated bigger and bigger and bigger, and he took it away quick, man. He did a heck of a job, so I was happy to see Tony.
He won the game with he got maximum dominant scoring in the last round.
He did. Dude had it everywhere. And it was unexpected. I didn't see it coming, man. I did not see it coming.
Nope.
But yeah,
You're too concerned with Tim. Too concerned with Tim.
Dude, I feel like you and I were just like boom, 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 and I got my ass kicked in that game. Dude, but it was so fun, man.
So much fun. Yeah. It was close though. It came down to it. It was really close.
What do you think of being the mammals? Did you like that?
Yeah, I really liked the mammals. I would say they're not my favorite, but I think
they're not that great.
Their power doesn't really come into play a ton. Like there's not a lot of times when their power comes into play, but I do think that they are a fine race. I definitely think
you're the top of the food chain. You break all ties, and yeah, it's nice.
I will say they're easy to use. I would give them to a new player. I would say the hardest ones to use are the birds. Birds are tough, man.
It's all about maximizing that migration.
You got to move.
And it's complicated. Yeah, you got to move.
Yeah. You got to even for the reptiles. You got to. That's the regression one where your genes can like go off of your mat. And the reptile has a free save, if you will. Mm-hmm. And I didn't use that at all during the game. And I think that's when you play that game.
It's possible that you don't need to. I mean,
well, I felt like I kind of handicapped myself a little bit because a lot of people had almost the same combination of stuff as me. So I don't know. I want to play it again. I just love that game, dude. It's so fun. It's just a good throw down and a lot of fun.
I'm excited to play it some more too. And I think that worker placement mechanic needs to be used in more games. I think that's one of the best ways to do worker placement is everybody one at a time chooses where they go, and then it all resolves at the end. I think that's such a cool thing to do.
I had an interesting story about that game real quick. We were just putting together a list of games to put in our convention library, and somebody told me that game was dead and nobody wanted to play it anymore. And I fought tooth and nail and was like, this is going in the library. I don't care what you say. It's going.
So an all-time keeper, man. So
yeah, great game.
Sorry, Tim. My hands were tied. That was the best move.
Yeah, it's the best move. It's the best move to destroy Tim. I mean, it always is.
The best move, man. It's the best thing I got. All right, let's wrap it up.
All right, so we're going to go into our Geek Out segment. We're going to talk about something that is not gaming related, hopefully, and just kind of talk about something that's going on in our life or something that we just want to talk to you guys, the thousands of listeners that we have, about what we've been up to, something cool that's been happening in our life. But Clay, we're going to go right back to you, man. Tell us what you're geeking out about.
Check this out, man. I don't know if you guys can see this. Okay, so Jason Dinger sent me a package today, And these are custom card holders.
You want to tell everyone who Jason Dinger is?
Jason Dinger designed Captains of the Golf, the new Spielworks game for, I think it's next year. And it's getting a lot of buzz out there. I think Andreas Odenhall and a couple other international hotshots have played the game and speak very highly of it. So look out for that from Spielworks next year. But yeah, Jason also does woodworking on Twitter, and man, it's just the quality of these things. It's like it reminds me of like braided wood. Like you got the dark one there, a light one, and a medium. It's just at an angle. It's really cool looking, man. So some card holders here.
Sweet.
And
I do like
using them. He's like, he goes, I didn't want to send you a dice tray because I feel like you would use that at all. It's like, that's probably pretty true. So he's a good dude. I like Jason a lot. So
you can use him to play Lorenzo and roll those 3 dice.
So if you want to see Jason Dinger's woodworking skill, go to him on Twitter. You can find him at Jason Dinger. And if you would remember, and if you want to see Clay's wood on Twitter, use the hashtag pull down the peel. Okay, hashtag pull down the peel.
I hate you guys.
It might be my favorite hashtag ever now. I think
the peel. We should get shirts that say that on there.
All right,
yes, we should.
We have a lot of dirty catchphrases. I still want a T-shirt that just says, "I like mine long, hard, and deep." I just want a T-shirt that says that. Awesome. All right, because that's the way I like my board games. All right, I'm going to get into my geek out thing, and so I mentioned earlier, my wife does not like scary movies. I love scary movies. I like all kinds of movies, but I have a penchant for like scary movies because my mom let me start watching them when I was like in 1st grade. I remember like when I was like a little kid, my mom letting me watch Candyman, which is like not like a training wheels type horror movie to like let you in on, but I just remember like we'd go to like the video rental store and I'd like rent Leprechaun and Child's Play, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween. I had a terrible parents. No, but like my mom didn't care, so like I watched all that stuff. I really like horror movies, but my wife does not. And we have a rule that once a year, and I usually save it for Halloween because I love watching scary movies on Halloween, but once a year, my wife has to watch a horror movie with me. She has to. So I pulled my once a year a couple weeks ago, and me and my wife got a babysitter, and we went to the theaters to go see It. I was so excited to see the remake of It. The trailers looked amazing. I actually really like the really terrible, cheesy TV movie adaptation of It that came out like back in the 90s, but I was super excited to see It. And I've got to say, it was probably one of the better horror movies I have ever seen. Like I'd put it up there in the ranks of some of my favorite horror movies. The Thing, The Shining, and Alien, and those kind of movies. The first Halloween movie, I would put it up there because it was fantastic. It had a very kind of Spielberg type feel to it, with just kind of like the young kids and stuff like that riding bikes around. You know what it really felt like? It felt like Stranger Things, but with a much more sinister villain. That's what it felt like.
It was very dark.
Have you seen the new It?
Oh yeah, it was very dark compared to the original.
And really feel that if you like horror movies, you should check this one out because it is. And you know what? Even if you don't like horror movies, it was dark, but I don't think it was terribly scary. Like it wasn't a ton of jump scares. It was very unsettling, I would say, more than anything else. But I really recommend it. It was a great movie. 2 thumbs up from me. It's one of the better movies I've seen this year. So
cool. Yeah, I really liked it. And I don't like horror movies like at all.
Would you say that if you like Stranger Things that you would like It?
I think so. Yeah, they have a similar feel. They have that very combination of like Stand By Me with I don't know, horror movie-ish feeling. It was really good. I really liked it.
Right. Like instead of like dumb teenagers being killed by like a villain or by like a monster, instead it's like resourceful children, which is like a much better plot.
Have you guys? So I'm not a big. I mean, clowns. Some people get really like my wife freaks out with clowns. Oh my god! There's this B movie on Netflix called Killer Clowns. Have you guys heard of that?
Killer Clowns from Outer Space?
Yeah. Have you seen that?
I watched that a long time ago.
But I know of it.
It's the dumbest. I don't know, man. Sometimes I watch B movies. I'm just like, what am I doing with my life right now? That was one of those moments.
You're like a self-employed man, so you're like, screw it, I'm gonna watch Killer Clowns from Outer Space today. Cash that paycheck.
You guys have too much time.
I don't know. I don't.
All right, we gotta bust through these Essen games, guys.
Yeah, let's do it, guys.
Wait, Ryan's got to geek out real quick.
Oh yeah, geek out. Rick and Morty, baby. I just watched all 3 seasons of it. Just like busted through it. That show is awesome.
Yes,
Show's just great. And I did try and get some Szechuan sauce. I don't care what anybody thinks. And I failed hard. So that stuff doesn't exist. The end.
All right. So that was our geek out segment, but we are skipping the long drawn out monologue because we don't really have a spotlight this week. Instead, we are just going to talk about our top 10 Essen games that we are super hyped about. We're going to talk about the ones that we really want you to know about. We all did our list individually. We do not know what's on each other's list, but we are going to basically kind of list them out here, go 10 through 1. You might have them in order, you might not. I actually did put mine from least excited, but still very excited to the most excited. But we all probably put our list together in a little bit of a different way. And so as we go through, just tell us how you did your list and, you know, kind of what your list is comprised of, because I did my list a little bit different. And then tell us, you know, what your number 10 game is, okay? So, Ryan, you're going to start us off, and we're going to go Ryan, me, Clay, 10 through 1, okay?
And we're going to do them fast because we have to. So I made my list at the last minute, like I do damn near everything. And on this list is anything that was on the Essen 2017 list on BGG that I didn't currently own or currently have access to owning. Minus expansions, and minus, for the most part, reprints if I have had access to them in the past. So you won't hear any of those on there. With that said, I'm going to pick a random game from this list, and I'm going to say Tokyo Highway, because I wanted to get it off of Board Game Geek, and I couldn't, and it's the lightest game on my list. And so I don't know.
So
if you guys
cool, though.
It does. I don't know if you guys have seen it at all,
Yeah,
but oh my god, it looks cool. You're like stacking little pillars and building roads with what can really only be described as tongue depressors to go between them. And like, I don't know how you play. I don't care how you play. It just looks cool.
Sign me up, baby.
I'm in. Like, I'm in. I don't care. I was ready to buy it, and then I went to BGG to buy it from the BGG Geek store, and it was sold out like immediately. And I was like, well, all right, I guess I won't buy it. But that is my number 10, if only because it's the one that I picked off of my list.
It almost looks like art when it's done being played.
It really does.
That falls right in that, because I like heavy games and I like really weird games.
Yeah,
and so that's like in a really nice, like, oh, that's so weird, I want it kind of thing.
I have to have it. I'm going to have it. It's just a matter of how I'm going to get it. That's the problem.
I think that's why I love Splotter so much, because they do both. They're all heavy and weird.
Yeah.
So, all right. So I'm going to go my list. So I did my list in a very weird way. So I did not include any Capstone games, because I'm sure you're going to hear about those anyway. I also did not include any like games. Like my number 1 would probably be Gaia Project. I didn't include it because like everyone knows Gaia Project's coming out. Everyone's excited about Gaia Project. So I didn't want to just give you the same stuff you're going to hear on all the other lists. So you can think of my list as maybe 10 games you are maybe flying a little bit more under the radar. So that's what my list is made up of. And so hopefully you can kind of appreciate that. So these are ones that I'm really excited about that you might have missed. That's what I'm going to call my list, is top 10 Essen games that you might have missed. Okay, so my number 10 is called Iberian Rails. So this one was a Kickstarter a while ago, and it was a Kickstarter for a cube rail game, but it's done through like that Citadel style player power where it's like, I'm going to choose this power, you're going to choose this power, you're going to choose this power. And each turn, when you get a different power, you can do different things to manipulate your rails. A lot of people said it's very Age of Steam-ish, but like the player powers give it a very unique feel. And so I'm very excited to give that one a try. It's by a very, I don't want to say, I think Taiwanese company, but like they haven't done a lot of stuff, but it's a heavy economic train game, cube rail style train game, like a Winsome, but it is very, very unique with the player powers that you kind of draft every round. So Iberian Rails, very excited to give that one a shot. Clay, tell us about your list and what's your number 10?
All right, so my list has been compromised by basically, I think I'm going there completely different reasons than most people, and it's going to be to look at possible games to bring overseas. So the first 4 or 5 of them are like, yeah, I want to look at doing those, but I'm interested in them. They kind of fit the brand. Let's see if that really holds up to the name. And then I guess number 7 through 1 is kind of like personal games that I really want to get, that I know for a fact I'm going to buy. So that's kind of what I did in this list. 10 games, Essen, there's like over 800. It's kind of hard to pick them all, but that's what I'm going with. So.
950 on the list when I looked at it today.
950? Oh, I thought it was in the 800s still.
I think there's some overlap. I mean, I think some of them are multiple language variation.
Yeah. There's like 8. Yeah. There's like 8 Charterstones like on the list.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, that's kind of like the first few here. Like Senators is my number 10, and this is a card game, and it's got a lot of different bidding mechanics in it, a lot of different types of bidding, and you're just kind of doing some adversarial bidding, and you're going to purchase resources at the auction. You're going to extort resources from other players, then you're going to sell them back to get cash. You have to support wars, defend against aggressive bids, and buy more Senators. I don't really know much about it. There's no rules online. So the bidding, the card game, it's got a kind of lengthier, like 45 to 60 minute play time. I'm kind of interested in it, so I'll be checking that out for sure. Senators.
Nice. And I think you're going to hear a lot of, I don't know that much about it, at least in some of these games, because there's not that much information about them available.
The bidding's got me. The bidding in the card game has me intrigued on this. That's what it is. So.
Yep.
All right, Ryan, number 9.
You took my number 9 with your number 10. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had Iberian Rails on my list as well. So I'm going to put something else in there, and it's going to be lighter, but that's because I'm going from my heavy games that were on my list to my lighter games that weren't. So I'm going to mention Azul, and I don't know if anybody's seen this game when they were looking through the list, but it's an abstract strategy game that is just beautiful. I mean, like ridiculously beautiful looking. And it appears to be made with kind of they were ceramic tiles back when the game was, or when the era that the game is based on, they would have been ceramic. But they look like they're probably either, what's the word I'm looking for? Damn it. Bakelite? Is that what you said? Did you say Bakelite earlier?
Might be Bakelite or Urea's, like similar.
Yeah, something like that. It's a plasticky, whatever. But it's a tile placement, set collection, pattern building, abstract strategy game. I would try and get a picture up here if I could, but it's just really pretty looking, and that's what has my interest in it. Let's see if I can get it. Hold on. I got this. I'm going to do it. Can you see it? No? Yes?
Oh, yeah. Can you click a picture? I did see this game when I was going through the list.
There you go. I mean, it's just really cool looking. And so I'm interested in seeing kind of what's going on with it.
Cool. All right. So my number 9 is an expansion, and this is an expansion to an Uwe game I hold in pretty high regard.
You're killing me, dude. You're killing me.
Because this expansion is one of my wife's favorite games, and one that I love to play with her, and that is Fields of Arle Tea and Trade. This is going to add a couple of new resources, going to add some more diversity to Fields of Arle, because Arle doesn't have a ton of diversity. There's a lot to do, but it's like pretty static in the board, where like Agricola, you get the cards that kind of mix up or whatever, and Arle, you don't get that so much. So this is kind of add that in there, and it adds a third player, and so that is an interesting thing that I would be wanting to try with it, at least making Arle not strictly a 2-player game. But yeah, the Arle expansion is my number 9. Very excited for it. Clay.
Yes, sorry. So my number 9 is, I didn't do expansions. Arla would be in there and Concordia would be, but
this is the one expansion I had on my list.
Number 9 is Pellegrinus. I think that's how you say it. You're in the 6th century, and it's going to determine how monks should be managed. It's a religious, like, monastic orders. I don't really know. The theme does not appeal to me at all. But it's got area control in there. You have a bunch of influence, and you're going to use that to like have a spiritual conquest of Europe. So you're going to use your influence to spread your stuff across Europe, erect abbeys. It says erect power in different regions. It's got simultaneous action selection, network building. I'm intrigued. Show me more. There's a picture of them playing the game on Board Game Geek, and it looks like there's some hidden information as well, with some kind of tech tree or something behind their screen. So I'm interested in it. I'll be taking a look at it. Pellegrinus.
All right, Ryan, you're number 8.
I'm going to try and snipe one from you. Let's see if I can get you.
Somebody snipe your banana.
Let's see if I can get you. Altiplano, or Altiplano, whatever you want to call it, is my number. What are we on?
8.
8? Yeah, we're on number 8. So only described, as far as I know, as essentially bag building, but more so than Orleans. So that interests me, maybe a little bit heavier from the sounds of things, but it was something that piqued my interest. That's really all I know about it, was that it looked cool. So
cool. All right. So my number 8. So I just want to go to the Board Game Geek entry for this one real quick, because I am a sucker for really small card games that pack a very big, heavy punch to them. And I found this game just going through the list into like deep into the list. But this is called Mercatories. 15 to 45 minutes, and I just want to read the description. New geographical discoveries opens new possibilities and demands. The old continent craves new world goods like tobacco, corn, cotton, and cocoa, or cacao, and coffee. In Mercatories, players take the role of merchants and try to make the most profit of the new market. The wealthiest player wins the game. Sold. It's a small card game. Says it can play 15 to 45 minutes. So it's like, it's a pretty decent length for like a filler type game. And it's like about trading games, trading goods, and like making the most money. And it seems like there's a market aspect to it. Sold. I don't know anything about it other than that, but that seems like something that would be right up my alley and worth checking out. So that is Mercatories. So check it out at Essen if you are going to be there. I do not know that this is going to get a US release. It's pretty indie. I had to dig pretty deep into the list to even find it, but that is Mercatories. So Mercatories. All right, Clay, what's your number 8?
Number 8 is, so my background, I have an aerospace engineering degree, so this game really caught my attention, called Magnificent Flying Machines. And what you're going to be doing, and it takes place between 1908 to 1913 at the dawn of the flight. So you're going to be building different types of aircraft, trying to fly them long distances, work on takeoff, flying, and landing. There's a bunch of different phases for that in the game. And I guess it's just about really building up your airplane. There's some pick up and deliver in there, and it says press your luck. I'm going to assume that's when you're flying in the air, pressing your luck. But it's got my attention. I think it could be something pretty stout. It's got a 60 to 150 minute playtime. Really interested in this. I have high hopes for it. So that's Magnificent Flying Machines.
Nice.
All right. So number 7 for you, Ryan.
Yeah, it's another game that there's just not a ton of information out there on, but Nusfjord from Uwe Rosenberg. Third game in the, I guess you could call it patchwork, cottage garden, whatever, Indian summer-ish trifecta of games with weird shaped buildings. I know there's 4. I know I said 3 games and then there's 4 of them. But that takes place somewhere, and it's another farming game where you're removing things from a board and tiling things together. But always interested in those. Wasn't really a big fan of, what was the last one? Feast for Odin. But hopefully this one will be better. So we'll see.
Yeah, so Nunsfjord is actually number 7 on my list, and I actually will not.
There's only one N. It's Nusfjord.
Nusfjord. All right, so this is on my list, and I'm not going to skip it because I do want to talk about it. I don't know that there's a very patchworky element to this that I've looked into. I haven't seen. I haven't seen like. Yeah, I don't think there's a patchwork element to this.
Oh, maybe I got confused.
Yeah, so Indian Summer does, but this does not. So this is just kind of, yeah. So this is kind of just a Uwe Rosenberg game. It looks very pretty standard for Uwe Rosenberg, and I was kind of like, whatever, because like his last couple of games, it just haven't been that hot for me. Mm-hmm. But I was looking through the description of this game, and there was a picture of kind of like the Uwe Rosenberg typical like board setup thing, and it was kind of with the little Uwe Rosenberg head with the word bubble saying, "Hey, you can cut down trees and make wood. You can do this and do that." And one of the things said, you can sell shares in your company to make a profit. And I was like, done. Uwe Rosenberg wants to mess with stock manipulation and company like shareholding. I'm in. I don't care. I'm done. I'm buying this game. I'm going to try it. I do not care at all. Nunsfjord is going to be mine. I'm probably going to ask Clay to pick me up a copy when he's in Essen because
oh my God, dude, that's a big freaking box.
You brought me Colonists last year.
God.
I found the exact image you're talking about, by the way. Hold on. I'm bringing it up. It's not very big, but I've got it here.
Right.
So my number 7, surprisingly, is the same game. I'm just going to put that out.
There it is. There it is. Expand your fleet, your fishing fleet, and issue shares of your company.
Yeah, and see, that doesn't look like patchwork at all.
No, you're right. I must
have
been
tiles.
confused.
Does that make you more or less excited?
I'm not sure. I'm still in, so it doesn't really matter. I like patchwork, by the way. I just didn't like the plethora of options that were available in Feast for Odin. There's too many options.
I'm excited for this one. All right, Clay, anything you want to add to it?
I was going to say, if you didn't mention the stock element, I was going to talk about that. But yeah, it looks good. I like Uwe Rosenberg a lot. He's one of my favorite designers, and I will definitely give this a shot.
All right. So, Ryan, you are up with number 6.
Yeah, it's a Spielworks game, and it's actually already out, but it's I think official releasing at Essen. I could go buy it right now, which I guess is the one rule breaking. Yeah, that's it right there. That's right. Is it Gentis or Hentis?
Gentis.
Gentis. Okay. So I'm sure that other people have more input. I don't know much about it except for that Spielworks and also what's the designer's name?
Stefan Riesthaus.
That's it. So that makes me interested enough to buy it right there. That's enough for me.
You should stop screen sharing too.
Oh, I'm still screen sharing.
Cool. So yeah, it looks really cool. It is. I actually got to play it. It's really good. My number 6 is Pulsar 2849 by Czech Games Edition. Now, I picked this game, and I don't want to say it wrong. Oh, boy. What? Sorry. I didn't want to say it wrong. Vladimir Suchi is the designer. Okay, so Vladimir Suchi has not missed for me yet. Love Last Will, love Prodigal's Club, love Shipyard. And this is not like another Last Will game, so I'm extremely excited about it. It's like dice placement kind of what you're doing with it, but I don't care. If Vladimir Suchi's putting out a game, I'm all in. CGE does not put out garbage games. And so Pulsar 2849, I'm all in. I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be really, really good. And so we'll see what happens. Space games can be a little iffy, but they can also be extremely good. So Pulsar 2849, definitely high for me, number 6. Clay?
One space, I'm not a big space guy either. And this next one, I'm kind of, I don't know. It's Gaia Project, and I know that there's a lot of plastic components in the game, and that's a turnoff for me. And apparently it's an amazing game. I'm not a big space themed type of person, but I will give it a shot because apparently it's the best thing since sliced bread and the Terra Mystica game system. So let's give it a shot and see how it goes.
I'm very interested to see how people come out on this one because I've played it and I think it's much better than Terra Mystica. So
yeah.
All right.
I mean, I'm going to play it, but I've heard conflicting things. So yeah.
Number 5, man, Ryan, kick it off.
Yeah, we're getting into games that I've already paid for. So I'm going to go into the newest of the Richard Breeze games that I think the first finalized pictures were just posted of online maybe the last couple days. And that's Keeper, which was a Kickstarter project that was finalized, I don't know, a while ago now. And I think they're getting ready to ship out. So this is in the line of Key Harvest, Key Market, Keythedral, Keyflower. And Keyflower was such a huge hit for me, and I think this game kind of expands on that whole idea a little bit. So that, along with the weird modular player boards that like flip and twist and do all types of weird things, kind of interested to see how that plays out. So that is Keeper.
Awesome. Very, very cool. Richard Breeze does great stuff. My number 5 was Intapalo. So Orleans style gameplay, but about running like an alpaca farm. Cool. But we already talked about that one, so I'm gonna do like a quick replacement for one that I had on my to wait list. So this doesn't necessarily go in the number 5 spot, but I think it's worth mentioning. You're talking about a beautiful game. Look up Tao Long. TAOLONG. So this was another one that was on Kickstarter a long time ago. Nobody knew who these guys were, but this is another 2-player abstract strategy game with where you're like dragons that are racing around to try to like manipulate the board, and it seems like very, very cool. This game, it looks incredible, has super, super cool components. But I am super excited to see this one. So I will replace Antipolo with Tao Long. You got it?
Yeah, it's right there.
That looks really cool. I'm sorry.
There it is. Yeah, it's pretty cool looking. I like it.
Wow.
So Tao Long, check that one out if you are into abstracts and you play games with your wife, because it's a 2-player game. All right, that's my number 5. What about you, Clay?
My number 5, and these are all games I'm never going to be able to publish because they're already locked up, but they're still really good, I'm sure. But my number 5 is a game by ADC Blackfire, Kalimala. This, I believe, won the Hippo Dice earlier this year or last year. But it's a medium weight Euro game. Edward from Heavy Cardboard was playing it with Uli and a couple other people at Gen Con. And I showed up about 10 minutes into the game of them playing it, and within 1 or 2 turns of them playing it, I knew exactly how to play the game. But it's very simple rules overhead, but it's a deeper experience. It's got a really neat action selection mechanism. Actually, Edward on Heavy Cardboard talked about it a lot. So if you listen to one of his episodes, couple previous episodes or whatever, he'll talk about it there. But that game is going to be hot. A lot of people are going to really like this game. It's very, very smooth, very easy to play, but it reminds me of a Concordia with really low rules overhead, but really deep gameplay. So not even related to Concordia, by the way. Just want to put that out there. So
are you sure?
I'm pretty damn sure. But yeah, Kalimala, look for it.
That's a lot of games that you say aren't related to Concordia or are related to Concordia aren't related to Concordia.
Oh,
so.
okay, all right.
I
it
mean,
has a C. It starts with C. Okay.
Yeah, that's all it needs. Basically the same game.
Yeah. Same thing, basically.
But it won the Hippo Dice, and if it won the Hippo Dice, what can you do?
A lot of good games win the Hippo, like the Ruhr won the Hippo Dice, Colon Colonies won it.
Oh man, these games they seem to have something in common.
You guys know? Have you heard of those games?
So like Clay like made up his own award and like gave it to a bunch of his games. He's like, oh yeah, this won the international Hippo Dice award. Ligna.
It's a good award. You guys should check it out. I guarantee you'll like a lot of the games that come out of it.
All right. Number 4 for Ryan.
Number 4 is yet another game that I don't know much about. But there's one aspect of it called I think they call it the Imperial board that looks really cool, and that's Agra. And it's just the one with that crazy board setup that I was like, what is that? And every time I look at it, I'm like, yeah, I want to play that. I don't even care what that board does. I just want to play it. And so I'm trying to pull up a picture of it. There we go. Because this thing is super weird looking. I feel like it's some type of market or resource management thing, but I have no idea what's going on with it. So
I'm super excited about this one too.
Here it is. Hold on. I got it. Screen share this thing right here. There you go.
Great radio for all you podcast listeners.
That thing right there. What is that thing? Who knows? But there it is.
That's your contract fulfillment thing. I've played it. It's a really good game.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
Yeah, that's what Akbar, whatever his name, wants. Those are his desires. So.
Admiral Akbar wants that. Got it.
Yeah, everybody starts on the lower.
Dude, how did Quinted get the Star Wars license? That's bad aim.
It's a trap.
That's a trap.
All right. Never mind. That's gonna get taken the wrong way. And like the board game PC podcast police are like in full force. Oh my goodness.
I saw all this. Let's avoid all that controversy.
Number 4, Clans of Caledonia. This is another one that was on Kickstarter. Oh man, I'm so super pumped to play this one. It is basically a lot of people say it's like very similar to Terra Mystica, but with an economic aspect to it. Like there's a big economy. It's like if Terra Mystica was an economic game rather than like an area control board manipulation game. This one I'm very excited about. I really want to see what happens. First time designer. I'm really excited to see this game in person and get to play it. And so Clans of Caledonia, that is one I am super pumped about because anything that takes its bases and roots out of Terra Mystica has to be a win, right? So Clay, you're up, man.
My number 4 is a game it's a medium weight game called Carthago. It's by Games Up. They did The Arrival by Martin Wallace, the reprint last year. And this is also kind of a reprint, if you will, but it's like an economic trading game. I haven't played it yet, but the development has been the production has been beautiful on this game. The cards look beautiful, but it's got the tug of war feel where do you want to score in-game victory points right now, or do I want to build my engine up stronger and stronger? And there's a market manipulation there with a rondel, and I don't really know much more about it than that, but it's got my eye pretty good, so I'll be checking this one out for sure. And that's Carthago.
Awesome. So Ryan, I think we are to the number 3. Yeah.
Yep. And my number 3 was Clans of Caledonia. So let me just tell you a couple things. I've played it. It is very good. So I played it on what is it, Tabletopia or whatever you want to call it. One of those. It gives you the pieces, you can move them around, but you have to know the rules to play it type of game things, simulators. It is very Terra Mystica influenced. It does have the economic aspect. It is very good, but it's probably a little lighter than you're expecting it to be. If you're expecting it to be Terra Mystica, it's not quite as heavy because it removes some of the things like power and some of the kind of chaining actions that you can take there. But it's still very much so influenced by Terra Mystica. So I'd call it a little bit simplified Terra Mystica, if that helps with an economic aspect to it. I still think you're going to like it. So
cool. Very excited.
Yeah.
All right. So I am up with my number 3, and no one has mentioned this one yet, which I am surprised, but Transatlantic by Matt Gertz. Gertz is hit or miss. Yeah, Matt Gertz. He's hit or miss for me. Concordia. I mean, he did a really good job with Concordia. I think he did an even better job with Age of Steam. You ruined my joke, Ryan. You ruined my joke. I was not the biggest fan of Imperial. I think I would have liked Imperial a lot more if I wasn't such an 18xx fanatic, because I was like, oh, this is like kind of 18xx, but not good enough. But Transatlantic is about like the steamship companies and like that golden era of, you know, steamships and just kind of going back and forth across the Atlantic. And I don't know what to expect about it, but I'm excited. It looks really good. This has been in development for years and years and years. So I'm super pumped about it. Transatlantic, I am excited for it. So that is my number 3 pick, Transatlantic. Clay, you're up, man.
Hold on 1 second before you move on.
Yes, sir.
I'm looking at this map on Transatlantic, and I don't see a rondel.
I mean, maybe Concordia just like destroyed it for him. He's like, no more rondels. I'm done.
Yeah, it's right there in the middle, right below the Indian Ocean.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Is that a rondel?
I don't know. That's
I heard it does.
Prototype.
I heard it does have a rondel in it, though. I have heard that.
I'm looking. I just didn't see it.
Maybe every player has their own rondel, like Trajan.
That could be.
So maybe every player has 8 rondels, like Shipyard.
Shipyard. There's just a million rondels. There's rondels in rondels because why not?
Yeah,
I got that.
And the whole game runs on a run. I've played Shipyard like 3 times in the last month. I love Shipyard.
The board changes because it's just a giant rondel that turns.
All right. We're going to get into the top 3, okay? We talked about Splotter a couple episodes ago. Antiquity's coming out with 8,000 punch boards. I don't know if you guys saw their post on Facebook with the
Did you see the margins that they put on there? There's like 3 pieces to punch out on each board. Of course, there's like 27.
Oh, really?
I'm sorry. I'm in manufacturing, so I like looked at their punch boards, and it's like the hex, and then like a piece down here and a piece down here. And I'm like, what the?
What are you into it right now? I'm going to take a look at this if I can see.
I was just like, oh my god.
Is it on BGG?
It's on Facebook. You got to go to the Splotter page on Facebook, but they posted like 13 or 14 pictures on there, and you can check out the new production. But I don't know. I don't have the original production. I saw Tony's box in Cleveland. That thing, the box is just massive, man. Wait, that is. But yeah, it's just a massive box. Now it looks like it's smaller, like Indonesia, but thicker. I don't know.
Good lord, they could have definitely been much more efficient with these punch boards. Hold on,
that's what I'm saying.
What the hell is this? I'm pulling it up in the screen share.
Thank you. But yeah, everybody talks about Antiquity. It's a little bit different than the logistics. What the heck? They messed up.
It's like the least efficient use of space ever.
Do you see what I'm saying though, right? Like I'm like, what on earth? I'm sorry, because that's just like, because I deal with it all day. I'm just like, oh my, and since Clay deals with it too, like he's probably like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, they could have probably whatever, but yeah, I'm excited for it. I hope it's not in this like the same logistic style game that Indonesia, Great Zimbabwe, and Food Chain have been. I'm hoping for something different. So
it's a very fiddly resource management game.
Yeah, it's definitely different.
And it does not look like it's any less fiddly. I'm actually not even going to buy
there's no way it's less fiddly.
Yeah, I'm not even going to buy the new version because what they've replaced doesn't make it worth it. And I have the big giant box.
Yeah, man, you still got to put tiny little ass tokens underneath all the other tokens and then tokens on top of those tokens.
Oh, but now some of the tokens are plastic, so it makes it less like.
Oh.
The other plastic tokens? Ugh.
There's like little plastic tiddlywinks instead of cardboard chits. That's it.
We're on to me. Number 2 is not heavy, at least at the beginning, but will be later, is Charterstone. I'm excited for Charterstone. I'm excited for Euro Legacy, which hasn't really been done too much yet. And I think that if there's a company that can do it well, it's going to be Stonemaier. So I'm excited to see this. I won't get it near Essen probably, but supposed to start somewhere around Lords of Waterdeep and end up somewhere around Kalis level of game. So sounds good to me.
Cool. Sounds good.
So my number 2 is from my Essen darling. So every time this guy pre-orders his games in June, and you get him around Essen time, and it does not matter every year what the guy's putting out. If he's putting it out, I'm buying it. And this is the one I've been most excited about, and this is John Company by Cole Worley. Cole Worley is my man crush Thursday, man. He is my gaming paramour, if you will. I love his stuff. I think he's awesome. I'm really excited about the game Root that's going to be up on Kickstarter on October 26th. Have you guys looked at Root?
I've seen pictures from Cole on Twitter.
Oh, you should be looking at Root. Oh, it looks so good.
Who's he publishing that under? Is that under Leader Games?
Yeah, Leader Games. He works for them now. And so this is
Oh, he works for them now?
Yeah.
When did that happen?
A couple weeks ago. But yeah, he's full.
That's why he doesn't answer my emails on okay.
No, he's still doing stuff with other companies, but this one fit in with his stuff, with their stuff. But this is supposed to be like a coin game light, is what he calls it.
Wow.
He says he likes coin, but he thinks that this game kind of fixes his issues with it. Cool. And it looks really cool. But anyways, we're not talking about Root. We're talking about John Company. John Company is going to be a fantastic game about all of the players trying to simultaneously run the Dutch East Indies Shipping Company. And I have played the prototype of this a couple of times, and I am really kind of in love with this game. I think it's a really stellar, very unique design. Right in Sierra Madre's wheelhouse. I'm really excited to give this a lot of different plays because there's like 5 different modes you can play. So he has like put so much development into this game. Like you can play like the standard game, but like if all the players decide, like, because it's kind of semi co-op where you all have to work together to keep the company from falling apart. But if the company does fall apart, there's like a mode of the game where you play where like, okay, we dissolve the company and you get this piece and I get this piece and you get this piece. And now we're all running little mini companies to try to make the most profit for the end of the game. And it's like, how does a designer come up with that kind of a concept? He's like, this could break the game, but I will make a game out of you breaking the game. So if you decide to not play the game the way it's intended, we'll just play the game differently. And I think that that's such a cool concept, but John Company, super excited about it. Super excited.
He's good, man. He's a good designer. Okay. My number 2 is Transatlantic. Matt Gertz, new game that's been in development forever. It's finally coming out. I'm just going to run out and get this game as soon as possible. I'm excited to try it. And I hope it lives up to the hype that has been going on for the last few years. So,
which one is it?
Transatlantic, the one you mentioned.
I thought you said. I thought you said that. Then I thought you said something your son could play with you.
No, just that it would live up to its expectations.
Okay, I must have heard something wrong because I thought you said something my son can play with me. I'm like, isn't your son like?
Well, he's 3. He does calculus now. It's totally normal.
Yeah. That's what I was doing. I was 3. So whatever he does.
All right. See you guys.
Transatlantic number 2. All right, Ryan, number 1.
Yeah, and it's I think there was just a pretty bad announcement recently regarding this game. But I'm really excited for my copy of Feudum to arrive eventually. And I know that there's going to be some at Essen. And so I wish that I was going to be at Essen. And I want to play it. And that's the end of my discussion on that.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that one too.
I really want to play, like really badly.
My number 1 is 18CZ. So this is an 18xx game set in the Czech Republic by Lonnie Ogler, who is one of my favorite, the guy behind 1880. I am very excited to play this one. It looks really interesting. It's got like 3 different kinds of companies that are all different sizes. And depending on the size of the company, the bigger one can absorb that one. And then the bigger one can absorb that one. And I don't know all of the ins and outs of this one, but I'm super excited to get my hands on this one. They're shipping out right now. I backed it on Kickstarter. And so 18CZ, I'm super pumped about. Really want to get it in my hands. I love me some good 18xx, especially ones that are unique and do some things differently. So 18CZ, number 1 on my list. Excited to get my hands on it. That is my pick. Clay?
Your number one was predictable, by the way. I knew that was going to be your number one when we started this. So
my number one might be predictable, but so I've been working on the game.
Wildcatters?
I've been working on this game for a long time. It's been over a year.
It's been all Clay's been posting about.
Yeah, for a long time. I'm pretty proud of it. Okay, I'm so proud of the new components, the way they look, the artwork, how this thing has just been revamped and reskinned to a newer, fresher feel. But yeah, Wildcatters we're air freighting in a couple pallets to Essen, and the whole booth is going to have this awesome backdrop with Wildcatters theme and everything like that. So this is an area control game where you're going to be refining oil and then putting it into different continents, to different refineries around the world. And as those refineries fill up in the various continents, whatever continent it comes from, it's going to go into like a little tiny map at the bottom of the game board. That's going to be your area majority scoring for your color of oil that's in that continent. So the more oil that you've delivered to a certain continent, the more points you're going to score for that area majority. And you're going to do that for all 7 continents. There's some other scoring in there for majority of workers in this game, and some other smaller details as well. But there's a lot going on: logistics, economic, area control. There's a lot of bidding in the game as well for the smaller Wildcatter companies. It's a really interactive game. And what we did to it with all the different wooden pieces, you get wooden ships, wooden drilling rigs,
with stickers.
Yeah, so the cool thing is you don't have to play with the stickers. The stickers only add like a thematic touch to it because it's all about your color. That's all that matters. So you can completely ignore the stickers.
So then you can have wooden triangles.
Wooden triangles, yes.
Nice.
And so actually they have 4 sides, but I don't know.
Pyramids.
Whatever. Yeah. So when this thing is all set up and you're playing it, you've got the wooden drilling rigs, you got the boats delivering oil. It's going to have like a look like the Climbers, where you're going to walk by and look at the table and say, wow, what is that going on over there? I want to check this out. So the artwork is beautiful and the gameplay speaks for itself. So check it out. Definitely.
Fun fact, if you walk up to Clay and say Wildcatters, he will get a boner.
Probably.
So, no, very excited.
And then you say, pull down the peel.
Hashtag pull down the peel.
Oh, man.
So,
yeah, I'm excited about it. I put a lot of energy into this game.
I want to make a joke about Clay buying his wife like the outfit from the girl on the cover of Wildcatters or something like that. Like that's like his like new fantasy or something.
That's my wife's portrait on there, dude. I'm just kidding. No, but Heavy Cardboard's going to be doing a run through on this tomorrow at 7:00 Eastern.
Awesome.
So 7 Mountain, but whatever.
6 Central. I don't know. 7 Mountain.
What 7 Mountain? Yeah, so 9:00 Eastern.
Yeah.
I hate that they're in the Mountain Time Zone because they're always posting their times in Mountain Time Zone, and I'm like, no one lives. There's like 4 people that live in Mountain Time. Everyone has to like.
Use Eastern Time. God damn it!
Any one of the other time zones. Everybody uses the other 3. Nobody uses Mountain.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Like there's like 3 people that actually are like, oh, Mountain Time, yeah. But anyways, I actually did not put Wildcatters on my list, but honestly, that's probably my most excited one to play as well. I played a couple times, love it. I'm super excited to get the new version with the beautiful
There's
pieces.
some tweaks to it too, yeah.
Yeah, I'm very, very excited about it. So when can we expect our copies, Clay?
Yeah.
They were supposed to be shipping this week, but I think they hit it a little delay. They should be here November for sure.
Okay. Oh, in America. So when you get back from Essen.
No, I'm literally like, they just put together 2 pallets of stuff and we're shipping it out like tomorrow. It's leaving, and then they're gonna really finish packing up the rest of the games and then ship them out by container. So it'll be here by November for sure.
All right, cool. So that is our top 10 excited games or top 10 hype games from Essen. Some unusual stuff, some weird stuff to check out. But definitely some stuff to put on your radar. Hopefully this puts something on your radar that you were not expecting. But definitely check these games out if you are excited about what's coming out at Essen. And if you're listening to our podcast, Essen is probably the convention you care about for game releases. But definitely check that out. But we're going to move in and just cover a couple of other topics here. We're going to do a real quick segment, and then we're going to do some Q&A, and we are going to finish this up. But we're going to do a really quick segment here. We always like to try to do at least 2 segments, but this is one I've been excited about talking about for a while. And I believe something that a few of us have actually gone through recently. But we're going to talk about, we got a question, and I thought it would make a good segment about how do we go about buying and selling games, and how do we kind of go through like collecting games, and how does that look? How big are our collections? So we're just going to kind of go through that. So right now, I'd like to just ask you guys a real quick question. How big is your collection of games? How many titles do you think you own? Ballpark it, that's fine. I'm just curious because people do want to know this. I have gotten this question in a couple of times.
How big is it, Ryan? Tell us.
Currently?
We want to know.
Ryan, yes, Ryan, just tell us how big it is.
It's cold right now, so
2 copies, guys. 2 copies.
So my collection currently is probably only about 200 games. It's not real big. Now that's changed a lot over the years, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But currently, only about 200 games.
So I'm sorry, but this has to be said. Clay, you need to advertise that you can either sticker your oil rigs or you can play with them naked.
Ooh,
that's how you need to start phrasing that. Is you need to be saying, you need to be saying like, hey, if you don't want to put the stickers on, that's fine. You can play the game naked.
Naked, yes.
Stickers. Anyways, so about 200 games, you said, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, there may be a bunch of card games in there that aren't counted, but we'll call it 200.
What about you, Clay? How many games would you estimate your collection being?
120 to 150. That's definitely over 100 for sure.
I'm over 300 at this point. So I've grown. There was a time where my collection was over 500. But we'll talk about that when we get to selling games, okay? But real quick, so we've all have pretty sizable collections, some bigger than others, but all a decent amount. Like no one here has like 10 games or whatever. But now I'd like to ask you a question. Do you put a lot of time and effort into researching games before you buy them? And if you do, you know, how? But also, if you don't, how do you go about buying games? What's kind of your policy on buying games?
Ryan? Are you starting with me again?
Yeah.
Sure. I hear a little bit of buzz about things. I tend to hear things pretty early on about, I mean, if I'm actually paying attention, about what's kind of coming out in the market and what's going to be in my wheelhouse. I think I know enough gamers at this point in time and have enough of a presence on social media where if something's going to be around and it's going to be in my wheelhouse, I'm going to hear about it. So I don't have to do a lot of research to find out what's going to be of interest. And I think I'm going to be honest with you. I usually buy games based on what the front and back of the box look like. I'm like, this looks good to me. I can kind of tell at this point in time and be like, this is going to be something that I'm interested in. And I would say almost every time it works out. I mean, I'm pretty good at this now.
You get to a point where you can look at a game and be like,
yeah. I'm like, let me see. What's it feel like? Yeah, this will be good.
Yeah, I basically like somebody posted a game on the Panda Slack channel. They're like, oh, I played this game yesterday. I was like, oh, there's an angry, grumpy-looking guy in the cover of that box. I'm probably digging that.
Yes, angry guy box is the best.
Clay, what about you? How do you usually go about buying games? What's your buying policies?
Similar to Ryan, where it's just like if it's in my wheelhouse, I'll end up purchasing it just to try it. You know, even if I don't like it, you can pretty much sell it for close to what you bought it for. But it's got, I mean, your tastes evolve through time, and so if I'm looking to do a new game like that, like the Coin series, I've never played one. I'll do a little bit more research into it, which one I should try. But for the most part, it's just kind of check it out, and if it's something I'm thinking I'm gonna like, then I'll end up picking it up.
For me, if it sounds like I might like it, I buy it. Like I just buy it. I don't really put very much research. Like all these Essen games, I have like 27 Essen games. I'll probably buy them all before the end of the year. It's just something I will do. And so that's not that big of a deal, but we'll talk about that a little bit more when we get into the next thing, which is how do we go about selling games? Do we sell games? Is that something that we do? A lot of people, they just don't sell. But if you sell games, how do you go about doing it? Ryan, do you want to kick us off and just tell us a little bit about your selling methodology?
Sure. Are we talking about how we decide to sell or how we actually go about selling?
Both.
Okay. Decision to sell is predominantly made on, is it going to get played? And so the wife and I will occasionally just kind of go through the collection and be like, no, yes, no, these are never leaving. So like we have a whole shelf of games, like they're never leaving. We know they're going to stay forever, but other things tend to cycle through. Either we've played it out or we got it, we played it. That was kind of all the interest that we had in it, and now it needs to go. How I sell them, that varies. So it could be locally. I try and do a lot of things locally because I hate shipping things. And so that could be, I have a local group that I sell things to. It could be that I donate them to a store. I used to donate a lot of review copies to a local game store to get rid of them. So they have a huge library there. Or it could be on a BGG Geek List. And that's probably the most common way that I've gotten things done. Still get a lot of local sales done that way, but also kind of clear things out and put them out through shipping as well. So over the years, my collection that's now down to 200 was probably up over 5 or 6 at one point and has had at least 1,000 cycle through it. So
Nice.
So Clay, how do you sell anything out of your tiny collection?
You just have to peel the banana or whatever. So I don't know. I sometimes I sell. I don't know. I just I'll go through like once a year and look at it and say, okay, I'm like Trajan. I know it's a decent game. It's just not something I'm going to put in my collection or keep it in my collection. I'm going to get rid of it. I'll do that to all the games. I'll look through them all, and if it's something I want to keep, then I'll keep it. Otherwise, I'll see if my friends want to trade. I'll do the board game groups selling deal there. So yeah, that's kind of what I do. It's just like once a year deal.
Yeah. I cull my collection regularly. So I very much like I said, I at one point had like a serious problem and I had like 500 games. Like I was buying games and not even playing them. And my taste kept changing and it kept getting heavier, but I just kept buying games as soon as I'd hear about them. And it was getting to the point where it was ridiculous. And one day I literally woke up, came out into where all my games were, and I just had like 500 games. Like they were just like stacked up next to the shelves because I didn't have enough room on the shelves. And I like looked at them and I was like, I don't even like half these games. And doing that kind of like broke something inside of me where I was like, I'll just sell them. And so I sold like 300 games out of my collection at that point and just like sold a ton. And it was so liberating that I was like, oh, I can just sell games. And so at this point, I say I buy a lot of games. Like I hear about it and I'll buy it because I know that if I don't like it, if I like it, then good purchase. But if I don't, I can sell it for like $5-10 less than what I paid for it. Mm-hmm. Or if it sells out, I can sell it for $20 more than I paid for it. Like I'm just saying, like the market fluctuates, but I figure $5 to $10 to borrow a game that I might like is perfectly fine to me. And someone can get a perfectly great unharmed copy of the game for like $5 or $10 less. And all it's missing is shrink wrap, you know? So I don't have a phobia about selling. I cull my collection regularly. There are some stuff that like I will never sell, and some stuff that I'll probably never sell and will never play. Like I collect like really weird Splotter games and just want to have them. And I don't ever plan on playing a lot of them, but I also don't ever plan on selling a lot of them. And so that's just kind of how I go through my buying and selling is I basically think of it like if I don't like it, I'm just renting it. And I can sell it for practically what I bought it for. So who cares? Mm-hmm. So that's my policy on selling. Other than that, do you guys have any necessarily like collecting habits that you have in your game libraries?
Trick
any
takers.
Kind of like
I have lots of trick takers.
Yeah. What's your favorite one? Can you give me like your top 3 trick takers
You
real quick?
want trick? Well, so
Not ladder climbing.
Oh, then in that case, that's a lot harder. I like Potato Man. That's a really good game. Big fan of oh boy, draw a blank.
Have you played Skull King?
Yeah, Skull King. Wait, Skull King. No.
Okay, I think that's the one where like you have to bid how many tricks you take, and everyone's got 1 card, then 2 cards, then 3 cards. I like that one.
Ooh, Paula. Paula's a good one. It's about paint mixing, so you can actually like mix suits to make other suits.
I like that.
And then I'm drawing a blank on the third one. Well, David and Goliath is really good. You want to either be really low or really high. If you play the high card, then the low card beats it. So it's an interesting one. Those are all 3 really good.
Cool. Clay, what about you? Do you have any like weird collectible habits that you have in your collection?
I don't. I was trying to figure that out, but I collect every Capstone game. I just really like that brand. It's my favorite brand.
You collect hundreds of them in a warehouse.
Yeah, I do.
He's got the Hippodice Award, I hear, on lockdown.
He's like, I collect everything that wins the Hippodice Award.
Yeah, if it has that award on there, I'll buy it. That's my thing.
I basically have a few things where it's like, if there's a certain company or person that puts something out, I'm going to get it. So it's like Sierra Madre, Splotter, Albin Viard, 18xx style games, stuff like that. If it comes out by them, I'm going to pick it up, and I don't really care if it's good or not. And so those are basically it. And I probably will never get rid of it. Like I just got Card City XL in, and I have Card City 1. It doesn't mean I'm going to pick up Card City. Oh, there is one more thing I do collect, and I'm kind of proud of it. Every Spielworks game, I'm missing only one at this point, and I will never get rid of one. It's the only reason I have 2 copies of Arkwright, because I have the Spielworks version and I have the Capstone version, because I collect Spielworks games. I love Spielworks games.
But not Capstone games?
I have all the Capstone games too, but Spielworks games, I really, for some reason, I'm just drawn to them. I think they're cool. I'm the only one I'm missing is Age of Reason. There's only like 500 copies of that one made. It's very hard to get. So birthday's coming up, guys. Actually, it's not, but if any fan out there is looking to make a guy really happy, I'd really like to get a copy of Age of Reason. But anyways, that is kind of my collectible habit, so to speak. I like collecting things from certain designers and publishers. So let's move on, finish this thing out before we run out of time. But we've got a couple of Q&As that we've gotten in, and we're going to go through and just real quickly hit these questions. And if you send us a question via email, Facebook, Twitter, whatever, if you write me like a letter with cutout magazine letters and slip it under my door at my house, we will answer your question. Not a problem. So the first question is right here. Hey guys, one of my favorite games in the entire world is Reef Encounter. I don't get a chance to play it very often, and I feel like it's a game that's very underrated in the gaming community at large. Not a lot of people talk about it other than Edward at Heavy Cardboard. Is there a game that you wish more people would play? What is a game in your collection that you feel is very underrated that you wish more people would talk about?
Wow, that's a great question. And not only is it a great question, but it's also a great game that they've picked that's underrated, because if they hadn't have said that, it's probably the one I would have chosen. Such a great game, Reef Encounter. But let me look now, because they stole mine.
Clay, what about you?
Brussels 1893. This is a phenomenal game. It is a really good medium weight Euro game. Definitely check that one out.
Ooh, all right. You know what's a really great game? Sorry, I got it now. Has anybody played Tribune?
No.
No.
So oddly, I think it was produced by like Fantasy Flight, and it's a Euro with several different bidding areas where you can bid to pick up cards, or place guys to pick up cards, or do things to gain cards in various different ways. And there's kind of like all these little mini areas where you're acquiring things in different methods. But really good little Euro that I don't think anybody ever plays. So I recommend checking that one out. My wife loves it. I like it, but it's definitely underrated because nobody knows about it. So
All right, so I've got a little bit of history to this one. So this is one that I bought this one like 3 years ago, and I have only played it like 2 weeks ago. And it has survived so many clonings because it's like, I'm going to play that. I'm going to play that. I'm going to play that. And I kept thinking to myself, because unfortunately, Rahdo annoys me because he calls stuff really heavy that isn't. And so I remember like a long time ago, like Rahdo was like, oh, this game's so heavy. It's like a Civilization game, really complicated. And so like I was intimidated by it. And then I busted out the rulebook and I was like, this game is not, I mean, it's a good solid Euro, but it's not heavy by any means that we would call heavy, and at least nothing you should ever be intimidated by. But Mermes.
Oh, it's a good game. Myrmidz. Yeah.
Myrmidz. It's a game about being an ant colony, and wow, the game is really good. Like,
It is very good.
Really, really good. I played it, and like it was just it's like one of those super enjoyable Euros, like one that I can definitely see myself pulling off the shelf a lot. And like every time I play, it's gonna be like, oh, this is a really good experience.
You gotta make sure you got enough nurse ants, man. Gotta have all the nurse ants.
Yeah, I was super compelled by it. I really liked it, really enjoyed it. Everyone that played it with me really enjoyed it too. And so I think it's one that you do not hear people talk about at all, but Myrmidz. Okay, definitely check it out. But let's go ahead and get into our other question. Hey guys, I have a game night that I do on Wednesday nights, and I have to run home from work because all of my friends get there pretty much as soon as I'm able to make it home, which means that a lot of the games that we play are not ones that can take a lot of time to set up, even though a lot of those games are sometimes the favorites that I would like to get to the table. Is there a game in your collection that you think is a nightmare to set up but still worth playing? What is the worst game to set up?
In my collection, or worst game to set up?
Yeah, I guess you can go like as broad as you want, but
God damn, Arkham Horror sucks to set up. You ever set that game up? It just sucks so much.
well, that game, I mean, it doesn't only suck to set up; it sucks to play. So,
Oh, it's not that bad, but it does suck to set up. I mean, it is terrible to set up.
Bad.
The absolute worst that I can think of, and we talked about it earlier on this show. God damn it, Antiquity sucks to set up. That game sucks, and it sucks to manage while you're playing it. It's just a whole fiddly, god damn it, bastard game.
I just, you know what though? I just set it up. I played it like last week or like 3 weeks ago or something, and it wasn't that bad to set up. Playing is a nightmare.
Yeah, maybe it's
isn't that bad.
It's so fucking fiddly.
Clay, what about you? You got one that you just hate to set up?
Arkham Horror's up there for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It's bad.
Geez, guys, I don't have one on this. I mean, Arkwright, but you got to have the insert with that because of the little 80 workers there.
It is. Arkwright's pretty bad to set up, dude. That's a rough one.
I'm gonna go with that one, even though it's mine. But yeah, it's just if you get the Meeple Realty insert though, cuts that time down pretty significantly.
All right. So mine is Brewcrafters. Brewcrafters sucks to set up. Have you guys ever played that? Have you guys ever set that up? It's a nightmare to set up. Oh my goodness, because you're setting up the like 9 different beer carts, and they all have like the special token that goes with them and all the little 6-pack tokens that go with them. Every player gets like 9 buildings and like different kinds of workers and all the board things and all of the. It is a terrible game to set up. But I freaking love it. Oh my goodness, I love that game. But I think that is my favorite game, but it is a nightmare to set up. I just still remember like the last time I played it and I got everything set up ahead of time, and I looked at the clock. I was like, it just took me like 45 minutes. Granted, I was setting up 4 people's stuff, but it was a long setup time. Oh my God.
Yeah, there's a lot of games that are a pain in the ass to set up.
All right, we got to finish this out, guys. But last question. Hey, Deep End Podcast. Great stuff you guys are putting out. Christmas is coming up, and my wife always gets me really good gifts for Christmas, and I have no idea what to get her. I usually just end up getting her a watch or a sweater or something that I don't put a lot of thought or meaning to. Do you guys have any recommendations for how to outgift a good gift-giving spouse? Huh. Interesting. What about you guys? Do you guys have a spouse that like always goes like that extra mile for the gift and like you just like barely put in any effort? Is that any of you guys?
No. Well, so neither my wife nor I puts much effort into it because we're not big gift givers. So we just kind of ask each other what they want and then get that thing. It's not much of a thing for us.
Yeah.
I don't know. I do a little bit. I go out pretty hardcore here and do little fun stuff, that inside joke kind of stuff between us. But yeah, I don't know. Just use your imagination and find out what that person really likes, what you have in common with them, and cater to the gifts around it, and put some little fun like puzzles or whatever in between it. So,
and
Puzzles.
on that,
Like a game or something, like to open the presents or something. I don't know.
and on that note, if you would like to see Clay go hardcore in other areas, remember to get on Twitter and use that hashtag pull down the peel.
There you go.
That was great. I loved it. I honestly don't have any advice for you, bro. I'm right there with Ryan. Me and my wife actually does like giving gifts, but we're not big gift giving people. Neither of us, it's not our love language. So I usually just tell my wife, I'm like, this is what I want. I want this, this, and this. And then she usually gets that for me and I'll go get my wife something small. But we like to put like the money that we would spend on gifts into taking like a trip or going somewhere cool that we've been looking forward to or something like that. So that's more of kind of what we do as far as gift giving. Is we're more about the experience type stuff rather than the like physical stuff, because I hate crap. I just don't like getting crap. So if that's any help, then there it is. But this has been the Deep End Podcast and our top 10 hyped games for Essen 2017. You can reach out to us via email at thedeependgames@gmail.com. Find us on Twitter at The Deep End Pod. You can go on our Facebook page at The Deep End Pod, where nothing is happening at all. Join our guild, where, again, you will get no interaction, period. But but you know what you can do? You can join our Slack channel. And if you post something in our Slack channel, most of us get around to posting in there and talking to everybody that's in our Slack channel if you do want to interact with us on a daily basis, because that's pretty much the one place we do check. But my name is Joe. This has been the Deep End Podcast. You can find me on Twitter at Cardboard Truth. Always love talking to people. Always talking on Twitter. Always getting on the board game group under my personal email, talking about all kinds of stuff. I love to talk about board games. So if you want to reach out, totally reach out to me. We'll talk about board games for a while, because I don't do anything for sit on my butt and watch TV, I guess, from what this episode told us. But seriously, very excited about this. Ryan, where can people get a hold of you on the interwebs?
I'm on the Slack channel or at Slacker, SLAQR on Twitter.
And Clay, if people want to tune in for your live video recording of you peeling or pulling down the peel and exposing the greatness that is Capstone Games. And you know what, guys? It's not the size that matters. Clay likes to think of it as simply complex. So definitely, where can people find where can people see the live viewing of you pulling down the peel?
Okay, we got.
I believe it won the Hippo Dice Award, by the way.
Just go to capstone-games.com. We have links to our social media. That includes Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, as well as all of our releases and upcoming games that we've got coming out. You can find all of our information there. We'll be at Spiel 2017 this year, first time having a booth. If you're going to be there, go to Hall 6, booth I-104. That's where we're at.
Good luck.
All right, guys.
It's a mess.
Take care, everybody. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening.
Goodbye.
Bye.